Hello, my friends. My name is John LaRuffa, and if you're like me, you have a situation where you have many fun games, but it's very difficult sometimes to remember how to play them all based on the length of time between times you've had between plays. And it's kind of frustrating to forget how to play some of those games and to spend a lot of time learning them again, only to just play them once and then have more time. So I'm going to be making some videos, and this is going to be the first one, in an effort to speed through the rules to help everyone to understand how to play the game, but this assumes that you have played it before, and in most cases I'll be going through solo versions because I play a lot of games solo. So the first game I'm going to take a look at is Tramways, and I've had a lot of fun with it. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get started.
All right, well, let's jump right into it. I'm going to do a quick overview of the components and iconography. First of all, you've got your parcel numbers over here, which correspond to the parcel numbers that you have up in the beginning of the game that you have already ownership of. This is, again, your starting hand, 7 cards, 2 basic cards, 1 of the upgrades, which I took from one of the piles here. Remember, you start the game with 2 different piles, 3 cards each when you're doing the solo game. And again, I'm talking about the solo game here. This is the solo game setup board for the auction track. And a couple more things that we want to quickly go over are the spaces on the board. These are your different destination spots here that are colored. These are your origin spots, or the places that you begin your places to travel from. Again, they're called parcels. And over here are the mountains. The mountains would require 2 rails to go across as far as building rails. We'll talk about that in a second as far as 2 cards. And then, of course, the water is impassable. All right. The other things that you have here are your 2 rail workers. You have your stress track. The higher you go on the stress track, the more points you'll lose at the end of the game. If you actually max this out and you try to go even higher, you'll start to lose 1 point throughout the game and when you first move on to this spot. So it's really not a good idea to do that. Also have some of the other destination tiles that you can build throughout the game. Draw deck to start, and some extra money, and all the other components. The other icons we will take throughout the rest of the game as we go through the explanation. To begin the game, you're always going to start with the auction phase. Again, the game is played over 6 rounds, and each round has 3 different phases. First is going to be the auction phase, then is the action phase, and then is the administration phase. And I'll talk about those right now. So the auction phase starts with you flipping over a card. If you take this first card, you always have to increase your stress by 1. If you decide not to take it, you can pay $1 to the bank to slide the card over and add another one. Now, again, you have your choice. If you take either of these cards, they're free right now. If you don't want to take them, you then have to pay 2 coins to slide them over again, and then it gives you more choices. Again, if you take this card, you will increase your stress, but all these cards are free and you can continue to pay for more and more cards. Let's just quickly review some things on the cards. You'll notice that these black spaces right here, get rid of the glare. These are penalties, so this will be a penalty stress if you took the card, and $3 for taking it. So this is not a very good card. Cards like this, however, though, do have some benefits to the player. This card allows you to gain $2 in the administration phase and also get rail workers back, and it counts as one of your magnetic rail strip cards for moving passengers. So that's pretty much how the auction phase goes. You're going to decide which one you want. After the auction phase is complete, you're going to select one of these cards, like we said before, add it to your hand, and then discard the rest. Then you move on to the action phase. In the action phase, you're going to first take 1 action or take $2, one or the other, and then you're going to either be able to take $2 again or take 2 actions or 1 action. So the only way that you can perform 2 actions is if you decide to play 2 different cards on that secondary action. So the first action round, again, your choice. Second one, you either perform 1 action and take $2 from the reserve, or you perform no actions and just take $2 from the reserve. So it's a little bit different as far as that is concerned. So let's go over the couple of actions here that we have. For the first action that you could take, again, you could take these in any order. We'll talk about building new rails on a link. So the first thing you need to do is identify where the rail is going to come from. It must come from a place that you already have ownership, either an ownership token like this on this parcel, or in a place that your rail has been moving along but hasn't terminated its destination by going to a destination place, or at a place where you already have a rail terminating the destination and you want to continue on. So to do that, first things first, you have to discard a rail worker. So this rail worker allows you to take the action. Then you have to choose an origin. So in this case, I'll choose the origin J1. And then you have a choice. Do you use the rail icon that's on this card? If you use more than 1 icon per card, you always have to increase your stress. If you decide not to, you can pay another card and play that right here, and that would allow you to build 1 rail link off of J1. Okay, so you do that, that would be like this, and then that would complete the basics to build a rail. You can build a rail going to nowhere at first, but if you do not continue that rail during the next turn, then you will find that you have to remove any uncompleted, unadded to links. So it's best if you can to try to get the job done in the entirety right away. So for instance, if I wanted to go ahead and build from J1 over to this leisure destination, I could play this card, which would allow me to have 2 links, and it would put out the different rails like this. That again would allow me to complete the link, and that would be there for the rest of the game for me to travel upon. And that is how you build a rail. To upgrade a rail, it's very simple. You basically have to have a card with the upgrade sign, so that is this card right here, and you have to have a way of identifying which rail that you're actually going to upgrade. It could either be from the destination, so for instance, if I play J1 again, then I would be able to do this. I would be able to play this card, identify the rail, play this, upgrade the rail, flip all of these rails to the opposite side, and then that would allow me to first and foremost score 3 points, and from now on, after scoring the 3 points, every time someone uses the rail, instead of getting $1, they get 150% of the money, so it'd be $1.50 per rail they would use, rounded up. And that is all that it takes to upgrade a rail. The next action we'll talk about is building a destination. So to build a destination, you have to have a specific plot card parcel number in mind. So let's use a different example here. Let's use I1. So I1 would be this destination right here. And then you have to have a card that has this symbol right here. So for the sake of example, I could either play this, and then that would be my icon to build, and this would be my destination. Or I could decide to use just one card to do it and increase my stress in order to do that. When you build a destination, you immediately gain 1 point. Then you get your choice of destination. Let us say I go ahead and I want to build the leisure destination. I would go ahead and put that right on that spot. And then I would also put a passenger ready to be transported from this destination. This is now added to the game. Furthermore, I would add this card, which corresponds to the destination I built, to my hand. And in the case if I built a industrial destination, I would also increase my hand size to 8 from 7. And that is how you build a destination. Another action that you can take is to upgrade a building. Again, you can only upgrade destinations that you have already built, so the pre-printed ones on the board cannot be upgraded. But in order to upgrade, you simply need to play a destination card that marks which one you're going to upgrade. So in this case, if I want to upgrade the leisure building, I play this card, and then I play a card that has the upgrade destination icon on it. I score 3 points, 1, 2, 3. I go ahead and I flip over my destination, and I return any passengers that are already there to the building. If at any time I had not a passenger there and I did the upgrade, I would then be able to place a new passenger on that. So that's one way that you can add additional passengers to buildings that have already been exhausted. Again, this only works for ones that you have put down. So that's how you upgrade. And finally, let's talk about moving passengers. To move a passenger, you simply have to play any card that has the magnetic strip icon as seen here, and most cards do. And you have to have a card that chooses a destination. So in this case, again, this card has all the different destinations on it. Let us say that I wanted to transport this person right here all the way over to my leisure building over here. If I would do that, I will score 1 point for each complete railway section between. Even if the railway section had multiple sections, it would still just be 1 point between. So for instance, if this had been connected this way, this would be still worth 1 point. Okay. I will also score $1 for each railway link, plus $1.50, so to speak, for my upgraded link. So in this case, if I move this passenger over here, I would remove him from the map, and I would score 1, 2, 3 points, and then I would score 1. I would earn 1, 2, and then 3.5 rounded to 4 coins. Additionally, I get to get a bonus for delivering that passenger to its location, and I will talk about those bonuses right now. There are several different bonuses that you get for delivering passengers to locations. First and foremost, if you go to a residential area, you will actually reduce their stress by 1. If you go to a commercial area, you will have a choice by either taking $5 or taking an upgraded card over here and putting it in your hand. When you do either of those actions, you must increase your stress by 1. You can go to an industrial building, which would allow you to gain a worker back and use them for future rail building, and then you have to increase your stress. Or if you go to a leisure building, you can actually spend money from your personal supply to gain a particular number of points based on this chart right here. In this case, you do not increase your stress. After you've taken your either 2 or 3 actions, you have to, you'll have some cards that will have been discarded for those actions, something like this perhaps, and then you'll have a chance to deal with the administration phase. And in the administration phase, you can play any card that you want that has an icon that has money on it, any card that has an icon that allows you to reduce your stress by 1, an icon that allows you to gain one of your rail workers, and even an icon that allows you to put a passenger on an empty zone someplace on the board. You're able to play those for free, but if there is a card that does not have any of those icons, you can discard 1 for free. Additional ones would then cost you $1. So if I wanted to discard this, for instance, I would have to pay $1 to do that. And once you're done with that, you will then draw back up to your hand limit. And so just like any other deck builder game, you would draw from whatever the discard pile was, adding it to any cards that you already had in your hand, then shuffling these cards, and then continuing to add until you had to your hand limit right here, which would then be 7, and you would put the rest in a draw pile. After that, you're going to look at what icon this ground marker is next to the industries or the destinations. And if any of those destinations have an empty spot, you're going to go ahead and put 1 passenger back on that area. Let's say, for instance, you had 2 open spots here and a residential building came up. You will then decide to add 2 to that spot, again, filling each of those spots. That is the same way it works for all the turns up until the end of round 5. And then the end of round 5, the administration phase is a little bit different. And we'll go ahead and explain that right now. Finally, at the end of round 5, when you complete all of the steps you're going in the administration phase, you're going to actually have your pick of whichever cards you have left. So you're stuck with the cards you had in your hand originally, but you can go ahead and choose any of these cards that you have in your deck, whether they were in the draw or the discard pile, to add up to, again, to your hand limit for your final turn. So that allows you to be a little more flexible in completing your final action. At the very end of the game, you're going to score whatever points you've accumulated throughout the game, plus you're going to get 3 points for each completed link and rail link between. So this would be 3, 6, 9, 12 at the end of the game here. So you add 12 points to that score. And then you're going to lose any points that you have from a stress standpoint. So if I had my stress marker here on 1, I would lose this. Plus I would gain 1 point for each $10 that I have in my supply. So if I had something like this, I would go ahead and cash those in for an additional point. And then you can compare yourself to the solo rules. Hopefully you've done well. And then that's the end of the game.
And so there you have it. That is my quick rule review of Tramways. I hope that this game is as fun for you as it is for me. There's a lot of future games that I'm going to be doing as well, trying to improve my skills as I go through these videos, and hopefully you like it. If you did, please feel free to subscribe and leave a comment below. I'll be reading those comments, and hopefully we'll see you sometime soon. Again, thank you very much. I'm John LaRuffa, and have a great one.